believe me, that would be a good place to go, wake up and on mushrooms and then wait for, let them start going. And then, maybe talk to them a day before to go, I want to pay now. And then I'm going to show up tomorrow. And so you don't have to exchange a lot of information and you get in there early. Because I'll be tripping balls at 10 in the morning when you show up. Just put a donut out and let me in, okay?
What are you celebrating? The takedown of Crystalia?
No, I ran out of beer. I'm celebrating. I'm out of beer.
Oh.
I'm drinking it's like traditionally you'd go, oh, I'm out of beer. I'll just go to the store and get some. I was like, no, one last trip to the store. I'll drink everything in the house first.
Yeah, man. I got you. Feel you.
So I'll be going there later today for beer and champagne.
Sponsored by Applejack today.
Oh, Laird.
We only Laird. Only Laird. Yes, there is no other name in Applejack.
Oh, you'd be crazy.
There's plenty of names of shitty booze, but Laird corners the market for shitty Applejack. So remember, Chad, last time you were over here, we were trying to figure out, I took a sip of this stuff, and it's what the Native Americans call fire water. And it's just undrinkable. So I found out if you put Bailey's and coffee and a little Laird's Applejack, it's pretty good. I mean, you get rid of the Applejack with the Baileys.
It's almost like the nasty taste of coffee would cover up anything.
Yeah. Laird's Applejack. It only needs 2 other drinks to make it acceptable.
And you still might go to a beer after. Cheers.
Cheers, yeah.
Cheers indeed.
Happy start of the English Premier League day today, gentlemen.
What?
Right. Yeah. Are they playing it?
See, I'm rocking my Chelsea away kit right now.
I just thought you ran out of comic T-shirts.
Ran out of shirts. Like Andy ran out of beer. This is my champagne of shirts.
Now I could do laundry, but
Premier League started back up today.
So they're not actually playing, though, are they?
To like nobody in the audience, right? No one
started back up means. Yeah, there's no fans, but they're playing games.
So yeah,
they're through the worst of it over there because they managed to handle it.
Are they?
I don't know. I don't really know.
They just reported more cases in China.
Yeah.
All because some greedy bastard in the wet market had to sell a bat.
I've seen that on Naked and Afraid, where like people are like they go through a cave and they're freaked out on bats. And I've seen other things on YouTube where people eat bats, and I don't. There's a real disparity between the two. I know there's a long way, but at the same time, I couldn't eat a bat, man. I mean, not even, no matter how much fucking orange sauce or Zhao's chicken sauce you put on it, it's still a furry bat.
No more than I could eat a rat. Yeah, why would you eat a flying rat if you would eat a rat?
But you could maybe get by with some part of the rat.
If you deep fried a bat, if you were at the county fair and somebody brought you a deep fried bat on a stick, you'd fucking munch that son of a bitch down with an elephant ear and fucking jump onto
They rolled it in Oreo dust.
and you'd still be better off than if you ate a corn dog.
It's a bat in a Twinkie in a corn dog, all deep fried.
Yeah.
A corn dog's like when you pull your dick out of something you shouldn't have been fucking. That's a corn dog. It's like,
I think
oh,
there's a story there. I think there's a story.
Like, no, well, I was thinking of Lake Shasta lady, but there was like a layer of yeast on a dog.
Those are popular in Europe. A yeasty dog? Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, really? Yeah. Yeah, that's when I jumped in the lake and scrubbed my genitals with soap, and it was it took 2 or 3 rinsings.
Nice.
You know,
the lake turned green.
It took 2 or 3 lakes.
I do remember this from the blackout.
All the fish floated up to the top as soon as Andy jumped in, started scrubbing like.
It's one of those where I baited her with I was going to go down on her, and fortunately it was a bluff.
Wait, for who?
I mean, I don't, you know. I mean,
maybe she dodged a bullet too.
Maybe that would have cut through my drunken head to go, whoa, no, this is expired. This is expired.
Like when you eat half the bowl of cereal before you realize the milk's bad.
Yeah, you get to the middle of a hamburger and it's completely uncooked. Like, oh fuck, man. I can't even send it back.
Oh shit!
Getting the proper mix of this now. I had too much. I found a markdown, and it's got probiotics in it, mango and pineapple. So I'm having that with this.
What?
Ooh.
What is it?
It's making mimosas.
Well, it's a healthy mimosa. It's
I thought you were on beer. Yeah, yogurt mimosa.
It was out of orange juice too. What the fuck do you want him to do, Shaylee?
I can send him some Applejack. We got 3 bottles here. They're never gonna get opened.
It's butter and cooking sherry. It's all I had.
Yeah, so we can be each other's
spread it on a bagel.
Well, I'll go look in the pantry and see what I think. I got too many crackers because they were all stacked up to display how many crackers we had. So, you know, sometimes you overbuy things because you think you don't have them. I did that. I'm a terrible prepper.
Well, you can just eat the crackers. I mean, that's the thing. You could just have those out. In fact, that could help solve your squirrel problem because you could get your squirrels hooked on crackers with no problem. I would be willing to buy.
I should not be feeding these squirrels to begin with.
So listen,
they're rodents, man.
I solved the problem with the squirrels because they were out here pestering me, and it's like I kind of like to listen to little Todd Snyder and walk around barefoot, and I can't have them menacing my feet, you know. Right. And if you can't respect me, then why should I respect you, Officer Squirrels?
My rules, my house.
You know, I mean, respect.
Listen, Mister.
Yeah, also, by the way, before it gets too far away, too many crackers. Also, a good name for this podcast.
Right?
Yeah, I'm writing that down.
So I thought of how I got rid of them. You know. Potential buyers next door is I smoked a lot of weed, which doesn't affect the squirrel, you know, but I played loud music over there. But I thought, oh, I know what, I'll look up aggressive dog barking on YouTube, our channel, YouTube, good enough people over there at the YouTube. And they had a barking Doberman. There, I said it correctly. Barking Doberman. And I played Doberman? That. Yeah, I played that. I put some walnuts there, and it took the walnuts, and then it was hanging out. It was like, you know, what next? And then what next is, oh, there's a Doberman out here on the speaker, you fucking asshole. So fucking beat it, dude.
But you're baiting. You're baiting the fucking... I mean, you didn't say that for any of our new listeners. If you just joined, Andy sits in his recording studio there, al fresco, and he will shake a basket. Al fresco studios. He'll shake a container of walnuts and then get mad if the fucking squirrels are at his feet. It's a mixed message. It's the wrong message you're sending to the squirrels.
We had some problems when I was in the other corner. It stole nuts from under my feet, and was, so that was like, okay, now you're fucking.
Were you wearing your walnut shoes? Why are they under your feet?
Because you got to have, when I get in here, I'm like a pilot. I got this chair up against me. I have to get out. It takes a minute to get up. And I do pills to stay awake out here.
So you are like a pilot.
Exactly. This is my 7th podcast flight of the day. I mean, the others are all simulated, but
aren't you supposed to take a nap after 2 podcasts?
Well, that's why I do the
do that on the Patreon.
Yeah.
He's on autopilot by then.
Yeah. So anyway, I forgot the point, but Doberman worked like a charm. And it also stirred my dog. Well, I went with the Doberman, and then here's what pissed me off. It's like when you're listening to music on the YouTube and you don't have the premium and it just stops mid-song and cuts away. Well, this was it wasn't YouTube's fault. It was the clip. Angry Doberman barking followed by a terrier puppy. So it's like then the squirrel stopped, it took off, and then it stopped. And it's like, oh, I wanted to meet the terrier puppy too. And
I like terriers.
Yeah. So then it was like, fucker. And then I got howling wolves, Siberian dogs, like, and that triggered me coming down from LSD with Brett Brock and his hound dogs, his wolves. And then my dog started banging up against the thing, trying to see where the wolves were. So, but I got rid of them.
Andy's plan was foiled by autoplay.
Uh-huh.
Turn that off, man.
Well,
why isn't the dogs barking jingle bells working? The squirrels are coming back. They think it's Christmas.
I'm a doctor. I don't want to be a Dr. Doolittle anymore. I'm done with it. I'm bored with it now. And
that's not how the animal kingdom works, Andy.
You gotta lie in that sucker now.
And the other night I went outside, just to go hang out and enjoy the moonlight. It wasn't even a moonlit night, but I was out there hanging out and nature rubbing because I can't go anywhere. I'm fucking stuck. I'm a humanitarian prisoner here. I'm being held against my will by my contempt of, I don't know. I'm fucking stuck here.
I think Amnesty International might have a problem with your description of being a captor.
So there's a
He's not on their list of possible rescues anywhere up near the top. There's
a landing on my stairs, and it's a great spot, and that's where I put up a little Darwin tribute, like a little. Mishka would call it all the fan art that went, because my dead cat. But I got a little spot there, and I was hanging out, getting going. I'm fucking man, I'm going. And it's even though it'd been raining a lot and the ground was a little damp, I was okay with that until an albino raccoon appears. I didn't even notice it. Yeah.
On YouTube or in life?
No, in life. Down
That's
the
called
stairs.
a possum, dude.
No,
an albino raccoon is a possum.
Well, I don't know, man. I've seen both. I know. I played possum before, and I've killed possums before, driving and through rescue.
We know.
Trying to save. So, anyway, I forgot my point again because of the cookies.
Moonlight jacking.
Yeah, I think it's at an albino raccoon.
Yeah. Well, he's out there eating the cherries, which I don't have a problem with, because I don't like stepping on the cherries either. So the raccoon will eat them, but it had a tail and everything, but it just started coming up like
a tail. Andy, that has a tail. Did it look like that?
But that's not a raccoon. That's not a possum either.
That's an albino raccoon.
An albino raccoon.
I got shitty.
It's a chupacabra.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe
it's a cherry eating.
I'd say that's probably a Midwest one because mine looks a little traditional. Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. A Pacific Northwest one would have a beard and nerd glasses with tape on them.
Well, he worked at an old furniture store.
And he juggles.
Yeah, he's with 3 unemployed friends.
Yeah, they pedaled up on a penny whistle.
They have a garage. They have a garage band. It's kind of under the garage, but but it was like, you know, it was like I didn't mind it. I was like, oh, cool. You know, I don't want animals around when I'm doing that because I feel like that's a gateway behavior. You know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to, you know, screenshots coming at me of a raccoon. Going, look what he did. Look what he did. I'm only 12. And but anyway, so it was like, but it just came up like it was going to come up and hang out with me like the squirrels. I was like, fuck no, you know, I'm jerking off, and he's like, he's not respecting my space.
I'm jerking here.
I'm like going up, I'm going up the stairs, but I was actually like that raccoon did to me what Mitchell did to Erickson in the desert. I was like, fuck this, man. And then I was like, you know, I didn't even finish the project. I was like, well, that's, you know, I don't want to, you know, get into it with the raccoon, but you can't be doing that shit. We're not friends. I don't know you. I'm in quarantine, motherfucker.
Maybe the raccoon feels like by your actions, you're displaying that you're very comfortable in nature as part of nature, and that therefore you're approachable, and not like a typical human.
I'm not trying to be political, but I'm a Pocahontas.
What if the woodland creatures all talk about this nature jacker who comes into their territory and spills his seed, and this albino raccoon was an operative trying to track you down? You've been found out, Andy.
Well, I'm trying to educate kids without getting put in jail, so I'm maybe a book, an animal book. You know, animals tell the kids how to go nature jack so they don't procreate. You know, the idea is to get people turned on by things other than each other, because there's just not going to be enough. We're not going to have enough bottled water eventually.
You're going to put out a nature jacking book for children as a population control tactic.
Maybe
that is a noble fucking idea.
Andy, I'm just thinking here, you know, it's really popular right now. And really the message is to get cast as wide a net as possible. I'm thinking a nature jacking coloring book for kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and
nobody's ever got their white crayon.
Right.
It always picks up the other flex.
If white people were so beautiful, how come you can't fucking color them with a white crayon? You know, fuck,
hey, Andy,
man.
Is this more like your albino raccoon?
No, man. I've trapped plenty of possums.
That's a possum right there.
I mean,
that's an albino possum. Yeah.
I'm known as the raccoon trapper, but I trap many possums, and with
that's right.
The raccoons, they tell you to take them for a road trip, and I did a little bit of that, you know, but not much. The possums, I just kind of like, you know, held them captive for a while and yelled at them, and then they let them loose about, you know, half a mile away. So fuck off, you cunt. You know, there ain't nothing. You ain't gonna be no more food around here. You know, it's like I kind of dipped into a little bit of CIA tactics, I guess. I never waterboarded one, but I did. You know, I did let a dog. I did let a dog
hook up
bark.
some batteries to its fucking
nipples.
It's hanging.
I let a dog bark at it while it was in the cage, and then I threw firecrackers around some of them.
What was the goal there? What was the goal?
I wanted them to fear my lot. Don't come around here no
Tell
more.
your friends.
Yeah, it's like the Tom Petty song. Don't come around.
I'm gonna
here
let
no
one
more.
of you live.
Yeah. Tell them what happened here.
Yeah, you tell them what you saw. You tell them.
And then I put got a knife and cut a Nazi symbol into his head. No, I guess that was Inglourious Bastards. But
this albino raccoon is the fucking Inigo Montoya of your fucking past. He's coming.
Oh yeah.
You put up a fucking Nazi picture next to that, and those guys who are at the protest march, that's not that far off. You know, they rat face fucking people. I mean, I think anger makes you look like a possum a little bit, because you go a lot of, you know. But it's like, here's the thing with these. I've seen these pro-Trump protests, and then why is everybody so pissed? You know, it's like, hey, we're here to celebrate what we like about Donald Trump, and then here's a photographer, and while we're celebrating this shit, let's fucking show them what a good time we're having by shrieking at them and fucking yelling. And could you imagine the after party for one of those? Like a fucking bunch of douche heads at fucking Applebee's all yelling and shit. Like, hey man, you're supposed to be happy. You're winning. You guys have fucking done it. You know,
doesn't
you guys
feel like winning. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Even to them, there's something that doesn't connect because they don't feel like
a white man saying you're winning isn't winning.
Well, this doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, you know, they're not.
We're losing Chad again, Andy. We're losing Chad again. He's dropping off. You can't go into Trump talk.
I don't mind politics if it's funny, but then it just gets fucking ranty. And if I want that, I'll just go look on social media.
No, I'm just saying though. But as a people, it's like if it was just any famous Red Fox is dead, but any concert going to Tulsa, like say it's our generation's Woodstock, and there were all these fucking people that were going out to that Woodstock, and they were like yelling in my face and calling me an asshole because I didn't fucking have the same fucking uniform or whatever. I wouldn't want to go to that concert. That's what I don't get about it. It's like they seem like such miserable
that's the wrong
cunts.
Analogy. I don't think they feel like they're going to a concert. I think they feel like the darkies are taking over their country. That's why they're angry. It is more like a rally, and it's, you know, not to even say they're all Nazis, but it is more like the feeling of that kind of rally. Like you go there to get amped up, you know, and then they don't have any, you know, they're plump, pink, Midwesty white people. They have no place to take out their aggressions, so they scream at each other.
Did you see the everybody probably by now this morning has seen the cop crying over the McMuffin video?
I heard about that, but I haven't checked shit.
It's pretty funny. I mean, it's like you go, oh, she, you know, and then she just kind of talks about, I mean, she mentions how she gets free stuff sometimes, and and nobody says thank you anymore. And then she just she's shaken up because they don't include the sandwich. They go, they give her the coffee, and then they don't give her the sandwich, and they go, you need to pull up. Or no, they don't give her anything. They go, and then it takes them a while. As you know, it's a McDonald's understaffed at a fucking roadside thing and or a truck stop, and then then she goes, oh, pull forward, and then we'll get your sandwich. And then she comes out, or they come out and they give her coffee, and then she does this video where she's so shaken up that she can't even trust the Egg McMuffin now, because they didn't bring it out to her, and they used to say thank you.
Here's a news flash: McDonald's is already poison. Whatever if they give you the McMuffin, it's already poison.
Yeah.
That's why our cops have to keep shooting people, because they can't catch anybody because they eat fucking McDonald's all the time, and they're going to Shake Shack and getting fucking chocolate shakes. Hey, fucking eat a salad, goddammit, and run somebody down. You don't have to shoot them. You can catch them. I've seen TV. They catch them on Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels always caught up to them.
I watched that documentary that Stanhope recommended, that 16 shots. Holy shit, man. There was a cop following that guy, like within a reasonable distance, like talking to him and stuff. And then another cop just pulls up, jumps out of his car, and shot that motherfucker 16 times within 8 seconds of getting out of his car. That was a crazy documentary.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
That's all. Oh, by the way, when we talked about it before, Chad, I realized this on the last podcast. It's not Netflix. It's Showtime, and there's other ways to get it, but it's not a Netflix show.
I have it on Hulu. If you have Hulu, it's on Hulu.
But it's not on Netflix. I was looking on Netflix, and they don't tell you, oh, we're too cheap to buy that. They say, here's something like 16 shots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it was on Hulu for me, and somebody said it's also on YouTube, though, if you don't have Hulu.
I haven't started.
Seems like one of those things that would be available everywhere.
There's a new Charlie Manson thing on Epix coming up. I think it started last night, or it starts tonight. Can't get enough of Charlie Manson these days. He called all this shit back in the day, but he just didn't have enough support. He needed to let the cops get a little more out of control. Just a little bit, and then if they just didn't have the body cams around or the cameras in general, but Manson wasn't. I mean,
Andy, did he really call the shot? He didn't step up to the plate and point to right field and hit an opposite side home run. He fucking called something and then 50 years later, something happens.
He did carve a Nazi symbol in his head way after it was popular, and way before it was popular.
But it's also not a Nazi symbol. It's a symbol, I think, for Ra or something way before that. So I mean, who called what, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Talking about
Nazis
Charlie Manson,
adopted that symbol. Yeah.
He wrote a couple of good songs, I guess. The thing is he's like, you know how it is when people are tripping, and then you put them up to weird, that he wasn't a cool hippie, that's for sure. Let's just say that. I don't want to diss on him too much. Agree. Yeah, I know. He would have been an asshole.
As a person who came into this conversation at the very end, I feel like that's a good place to end it. I mean, I think, you know what? I think we can all agree Charles Manson wasn't a cool hippie.
Very uncool.
Yeah. And like most hippies, yeah. Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
I'm driving the nail into this coffin and moving on, saying, "Hey, by the way, here's a little sorbet in between the fucking courses." Andy, we have your correct Venmo right here, and I'm doing this for no other reason other than to get out of the topic we're in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Erickson dropped the. Did we ever get the Venmo one up from Sunday?
You mean the Patreon one?
Yeah.
I call it up right.
I'm sorry.
This is Venmo right here.
I know. I called it the Venmo one because usually when that one drops, I get some sympathy weed. But since it hasn't aired,
I'm sorry about that. I fucked up. I scheduled it. I scheduled the wrong day, and then I tried to reschedule it, and for some reason it didn't come out. It just stayed in the scheduled column.
Let's back up a little bit.
Even though the date, though the moment had passed, so I didn't. I apologize to everyone, but it's out now.
The last podcast ended with a full conversation with Tony Hinchcliffe and Mitchell in the background, and you walking off camera as in the middle of fucking conversation. And I call it Stanhoping the conversation. And then you're MIA for 2 days, and the Patreon drops 24 hours late. I don't know, man. What's going on?
Well, look, the gay march. Remember the gay march was going on?
Oh, yeah.
And they were starting to take over neighborhoods and start, a big suck-off fest. That's what I heard. I mean, news is you can't trust the news. The fake news didn't mention that gay people taking people out of their homes and turning them gay.
You can't prove that a great suck-off happened, but I also can't prove that it didn't. So
it's impossible to prove a negative.
Yeah. I thought maybe you got into some ecstasy because that's what happened in Amsterdam.
I even texted you guys yesterday that said, "Oh, I fucked up. I scheduled it wrong. I rescheduled it." So I fucked it up twice because although the second time I rescheduled it, that scheduled date was yesterday at 11:30 a.m. So why it didn't
after 11:30?
No, it wasn't because it won't let you schedule something after the time.
Have you tried unplugging it?
In fact, why no one cares about this. I don't know.
Drop it in some beer. Did you drop it in some beer, Erickson? I think Andy's trying to help.
When everything's going great, everybody thinks Shaylee's doing it all, and whenever there's a fuck up, it's totally. Like, let's drag Erickson.
I don't know, man. Erickson, I don't know. Hinchcliffe was there, and then fucking Mitchell's in the background, and there's some kind of like pride parade is going through their fucking apartment. It only has one door. There's no through in the back. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
They had to make emergency cutoff jeans. Get the sewing scissors out. Yeah, they got swept up in the. There you go. Yeah, Bureau of Land Management. They've been
biggest landowner in Arizona.
Yeah, fucking. It's about time people. They took over that fucking place. The BLM is. Oh, hey, Justice.
Justin, Andy didn't read to the end of the hello sign.
Is that one of the Batemans?
It said Justin.
I said Justice.
He can't read one line.
He said Justice.
All right.
It's funnier if you said Justin, though, so maybe we'll edit it to Justin. Todd can do that. No, this is not only we had some people over on Sunday after the podcast. We socially distanced. But one of our friends came over, one of the servers from the Comedy Store, Diamond Spotter, and she's great. But she went to participate in the march, but she couldn't find it. So she fucking looked around for it for a while and chased it around at some point, but couldn't ever find it and catch up to it. So she gave up and came over, and then she left her sign here.
It should have been a diamond.
She's an ally, but she didn't do a very good job.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm not.
She ran a marathon for a 2-mile march.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that my name is Justice. But you can tell, you're in Hollywood and you get signs on cardboard that are that good, that creatively done with the different size fonts. And
now, I've never seen one at one march. I see something hastily drawn on something they stole from a guy at a fucking off-ramp begging for change. It's like, ballpoint pen? Really? You couldn't go to the dollar store if it's not burned out and get a fucking a knockoff Sharpie?
Yeah, and the problem is that it's the same thing happens at music festivals, because at some of the music festivals I go to, which are kind of jam bandy, there's this thing of holding a big thing. Like, you'll have a stick with a fucking SpongeBob on it that dances like this, and you'll shake it while the fucking music plays and everything. Everyone's like, oh, that's fucking great. But it's the same thing. You work on it, you do all this, and then you realize once you go to whatever the event is, the march or the festival, now you're responsible for this fucking thing, and you have to hold it and carry it and lift it and raise it the entire time. So you end up like
pissing off everyone behind you too.
Oh yeah.
Like they can't see Todd Snyder because your fucking stupid sign.
Yeah. This wouldn't happen at a Todd Snyder show. It seems
to me most people with common sense think that through beforehand and don't take signs to shit like that.
Yeah. Said a mouthful right there, my friend.
Yeah, I wish that's the thing. Like, everybody's got a sign and a fucking phone. It's like, just fucking, it's just fucking.
Andy, did you just say signs everywhere, signs?
Well, I don't mind.
They do block out the scenery.
I have
do this, do what?
Take up my time.
I ain't cutting my hair.
Imagine that. That was I think that's the song that I think Louis C.K. used that. I think it was a Louis C.K. bit that I thought was pretty funny about. And it's like.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Yeah, Chad dropped out. He'll be back. But the
you dropped out too.
Oh, I did? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Start over.
Am I back now?
There's two.
You're back now.
Oh, there.
I froze up.
Sorry.
I froze up. Sorry.
Back up, Erickson, and start again.
It was the Louis C.K. bit about. It was a. How about it? Can I start?
Yeah.
Start.
Am I here? It was a Louis. There was a Louis C.K. bit, which is a hackneyed premise now, but it was about contesting the truthiness of song premises. Like, I picked up the sign, I tucked my hair up under my hat, and I went in to ask him why. No, you didn't. You didn't do that. Nothing like that happened. Come on, you're full of shit. And
imagine that.
It's not worth the buildup of that retelling 3 times.
Yeah. I can't imagine anyone going, could I have 2 steps, mister?
If anyone could.
You got a gun out? I don't need asking for permission to take 2 steps.
Yeah.
That seems like something you would say, though, Andy. Look, I'm caught. Give me 2 steps.
Let's
2 steps towards the door.
I was trying to think. I had guns drawn on me, a gun drawn on me, and a shot fired in my direction as a kid from the guy we used to. The guy threw bleach on me, and he is down at this. He was down at this.
I don't know that story.
He's just like this mean old. We were doing the knock and run, and I had on a sweatsuit I'd earned by getting molested. And we'd knock on these doors up above the movie theater, above this creepy bar, Bill's Place, which was a sketchy men's only bar. And I knocked on this guy's door, and we did it made sport of it. I delivered papers there, so I knew the thing. So me and some friends, and we'd go knock on the door and run. And then sometimes I would knock to collect for the paper.
It'd be great if you got caught because you forgot to do a different knock. He's like, I know that knock.
Yeah, this guy didn't want a newspaper. He didn't want to be bothered at all. I think he accepted his fate. But I knocked on his door and he threw bleach on me and ruined my Adidas sweatsuit.
That's insanity.
Yeah, and
that's assault.
That's assault.
But as a kid,
on a child, fuck, man, that's crazy.
Kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and then later I run into him in this. It's now a park where Antifa, I guess, is setting up operations in Coquille. But I ran into him down there, and some friends were giving him shit and throwing shit in his direction, and he pulled a gun and shot it at us.
Were just like,
no, I think he aimed at us. We were quite a ways away, and then he's an old fucking dude. He didn't take shit, you know.
Yeah.
I think there was an incident with him and John Lindegren, this human giant that lived in town. This fucking, he was like an idiot. He was like a big giant. He wanted to be a pro wrestler, but he just was too stupid. So he just kind of haunted Coquille.
Is that possible?
He kept thinking it was real.
I think there was an incident involving that dude eventually well, John Lindegren's the guy who ripped the car to shreds with his bare hands on Gay 90s Day. It's like, it was this thing where you could, one year they had a car you could hit with.
Made a good wrestler.
Yeah,
he would have. Yeah. I got a picture. This dude is much later. He's still the same build. He's a fucking mountain man, basically. Lived in town, had a horrific stutter. He was like class of 77 or so. And there was a story about him. And I don't know if this one's true. It almost seems urban legend that he climbed the rope at school and they said, touch the ceiling with both hands, John. And they said he did and fell to the floor, which is, but you would not doubt it. This guy, he was a guy. He had a stutter. He was an idiot.
You should be moved out of school
an old joke.
If you do that.
That's just an old.
You shouldn't be allowed in Gen Pop.
When I was growing up, we'd make fun of Polish people. Remember Polak jokes?
Yeah.
Sure.
He was.
How do you get a one-armed Polak out of a tree? You wave to him.
Yeah. So that's, I'm sure John Lindegren had, any joke like that would apply. Also, there was that crazy town whore, Teresa Movahill, and John Lindegren for a short time were exchanging fluids. So there was there's a possibility of a
throwing bleach on each other.
There's a possibility of a Coquille super baby in the river somewhere that's half John Lindegren and half Teresa Movahill. But John Lindegren is like that dude. Yeah, cross-eyed. Big fucking barrel-chested stutter in football when I was playing, and you'd get on the sideline, and he would get on the sideline many years later and go, fucking kill him, like that's how he talked. He had a big stutter, and he chewed a lot of Copenhagen dripping out of into a beard, and always wore the lager, shit. But one year, Gay 90s Day, they had a car you could hit with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And in the spirit of the beer garden being near there and the Lemon Tea Gang that did fucking shootouts, it was like a cowboy skits where everybody died.
Yeah.
And Gay 90s, it was a big thing, man, all there by the community building. And people were hitting this car with a hammer for $5 or a couple bucks, whatever it was. And then John Lindegren's there, beer garden, big fucking dude. And then he just kind of took over, and then people just started throwing money out and let John. He ripped the car apart with his bare hands. He was fucking bleeding, smashing shit with his fist.
Sure.
He used the hammer some, but it was like old John Henry got tired of fucking swinging the hammer and just started going mano a mano with an old fucking car, like an American-made car. He beat the fuck out of it, and people that remember seeing it, like, oh yeah, were you there the year John Lindegren beat the fuck out of that car?
Oh, it's like when John Henry beat the locomotive.
Yeah. And J.O., he used to, he was a guy who got in a lot of fights in Coquille bars and shit, beat the fuck. I feel like he probably, the people who ran up against John Lindegren had it coming because he was a
simple man.
He was the strongest retard I've ever run across. And I don't know that he was even fully retarded. I don't know what you'd call it, but he was I don't know how he played football when he played, but his fucking rip their helmet off and fucking shit in their fucking faces. It's like, wow, man, I know that would be a penalty. I'm pretty sure it would be. Nowadays, they'd call it a hate crime. No matter who you did it to.
That's got to be 15 yards. It's got to be.
So when I was in high school, he was the guy who would, he'd be standing out by the bars, and we would pick him up to go get beer for us or whiskey. Whiskey was a problem, That was probably, I mean, if I was in somebody who could advise him, it's like, don't do the whiskey, John. But we would get us a fifth of Seagram's, and then we finally had to start saying a fifth and a pint, because otherwise we didn't get any, and we had to fucking drink.
You needed two bottles.
We'd get about a half of a fifth, and it would have Copenhagen in it. He would hold it, and you could not really complain to him because he
crushed you like a fender.
I'm sure why he got rejected from pro wrestling, and people did put up, it was before GoFundMe's by a long ways, but I think people wanted him out of town and put money together for him to go become a pro wrestler, and he came right back home when he found out it wasn't for real.
I knew it.
Yeah, he was disillusioned by having to pull punches, and he was like, "That's not John Lindegren." He didn't know how to pull punches, I guess. So, but he punched me one time in the chest after getting our whiskey. He'd get the whiskey, drink it, and then you go, "Come on, John." I did. I was stupid.
Egged him on, and then
I knew from
how hard he could hit.
Well, from previous experiences, you don't want him to take a big drink off of it, and so we got, hey, I tried to, it's like he's friends with my my big brother, but everybody was little to John Lindegren. But so I was like, he's friends with my brother John, but I'm sure that was more of a mascot situation. He was a fucking
for which one?
I wish I'd have had a Richard Redan of that size and stature, because I feel like Richard Redan wasn't retarded enough to control, but John Lindegren you could have controlled. I think. I don't know. I mean, I would love to read. I think he's still alive, and he's mellowed a little bit, but I'll bet he's not much. But he is. I don't think he got smarter.
Yeah.
But
what jail is he in?
I don't think he's probably. I think he's probably done his jailing days. But he probably. What I was saying, I would love to read his arrest report from 1972, and to yesterday.
Yeah, it seems like every small town has a John Lindegren.
Yeah, and you know what?
Giant maniac. Like we had, I grew up in a farm town. There were guys like that, like to just fucking.
Yeah, he had like just such a fucking barrel chest, and he's like he's basically, when I thought of Paul Bunyan, and I think of John Lindegren.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of a dude, only I'm sure that Paul Bunyan probably wasn't much bigger than John Lindegren, if there was one to begin with, and he probably
did he have a blue ox?
He probably had a goat with blue balls. Everything's exaggerated, especially by loggers.
So you think the Paul Bunyan story is a bit of a tall tale?
Fuck yeah, I do.
Could be.
I don't want to talk shit about Pecos Bill either, but come on. Some of that shit's a little bit hard to believe.
Yeah. Johnny Appleseed couldn't have planted all those trees, man.
No Actually, he did. That was a real guy.
You know what? Paul Bunyan was a racist. I can't believe they have those hate symbols still around.
Tear him down.
Tear him down.
Yeah.
They keep Babe the Blue Ox up.
Yeah. Meet me about 50 miles north of Crescent City, and let's tear down that symbol of hate, along with that fucking blue fucking enabler.
Shit.
I have talked to Paul Bunyan out there at that Paul Bunyan on the 101.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
There's one. It's like a
landmark.
California.
Yeah, but that one's not that one. That one's probably.
Well, there's a lot of them, Andy.
That's Bemidji, Minnesota.
Really?
That's what it says on the sign.
Well,
for some reason, I
think that's what it says.
See the whole pictures that Shaylee puts up. They're real big, like it crops out. For some reason.
I get them.
Yeah, I got this shit up here, and I'm sure if I just fucking investigated it.
On which spot Skype puts you in. Sometimes, because sometimes
I get
Oh no, there was
Shaylee's pictures, and sometimes I get them.
I switched it to grid view. There it is. All right.
There you go. Yeah.
Grid view.
Grid view?
Yeah.
Oh, check that next time.
I don't even know what that means.
I either, dude.
Andy, don't worry about it. Don't change anything.
There it is. There's Theo. That's the one. Yeah,
is that the one near you?
The ball's on this ox. Of course you got to stand
shit.
under it.
Yeah. Oh man.
And then there's like a kid. Well, when I was there one time, because I knew from previous experiences that Paul Bunyan sometimes talks, and occasionally you'll get a hand wave, but I heckle him whenever I get a chance.
That statue talks?
Yeah, there's somebody in the gift shop, second floor, who will say, "Hey, come into the gift shop and come," hey, fuck you,
and bring a chicken sandwich for the guy working behind the counter.
Right. So, hey, man, do you want to come down and do some mushrooms? That's what I
little boy, do you like hand jobs?
Yeah. And then Babe snorts some smoke out and.
Right, but at some point, you're talking to a kid, and you don't want to end up being a creep like that. A comic who just got outed for talking to kids, but I was like, come on down, let's do some drugs. You're working for a corporation, but that's a cool place if you could do mushrooms and be there on a rainy day without tourists. There's not much to look at, but it's a cool protected little forest where you don't have to worry about
Klamath Falls area or in Klamath?
No, it's Klamath County. It's
Klamath
California.
County.
Yeah, I could never figure that out as a kid neither. It's like, wait a minute, there's 2 Klamaths. Now I'm finding out there's more than one Paul Bunyan.
That's a statue, Andy. That's not him.
No, you know what real ones.
You know what that son of a bitch did is he clear cut a bunch of fucking old growth, and then he put up a meth lab and sold it to the Indians. I'm not shitting you. It's fucking it's well documented around here. He also dated a lot of girls that were questionably under like he said 18, but nobody believed him. Yeah. He looks like Mr. Havers, my 5th grade teacher. You're dating that. The ox is probably a fucking enabler, or it's probably involved in the sex party.
Yeah. I think the ox is like Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
She's definitely she lines them up and then
she lines it up
in the right direction. Yeah.
Are you a model?
Can't get
Lures
away.
them in with those big hanging balls.
Yeah, it says, hey Andy, it says here this Paul Bunyan and Babe, the one we're looking at right here, is the largest, and it's in it's in Klamath, in Klamath, California. It says it's the world's largest Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox.
Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You know what you can do there, and I wouldn't say I completed nothing there, but I have woken up right there. It's a good place on 101.
Wait, under the statue? You've woken up under the statue?
I've jerked off a little bit near the statues in the morning. You get up and you take a leak in the parking lot and shake it off.
Oh my God!
God damn it! I'm hearing the redwoods and the fucking big Paul. He don't mind. His voice is.
You're looking at those big hangy balls and you're just like, oh my God!
He ain't gonna be talking to tourists for a couple hours. The traffic. The thing is that's kind of that's the beginning of the redwoods. So there's really not a lot of people coming and going. So
and you're on 101 up there.
Yeah, brush my teeth. Stand there and go. Well, I didn't plan it or anything, but it's like but I couldn't figure. What if there is a camera here and then then I'm on America's Weirdest. But I'm like I'm not jacking off because I'm turned on by the logger. I didn't want to get truck drivers the wrong impression of me. So I beat it up.
Wait, you're jacking off in sight of the highway?
Yeah, the 101 runs right by there. It's just.
But I mean, you've got your front to the highway.
I get up early, you know. I'm not the front. The highway's over here. I'm looking at
these. Which way is your nose pointed, Andy?
Basically, if you turned around and started jacking off, Shaylee, that's basically the view I had from my car. I go barefoot, take a leak, you know, brush my teeth and get ready with my day, and then I'm gonna jerk. It's like if it was easier, I would have finished there. But then I was like, you know, it's taking a little longer than I'd hoped. You know, he's not. It's like jerking. You know, I didn't. Maybe it was because of the, you know, the gay experiences that were forced on me that I didn't want to have like a jerk in front of a logger like that. So I just went to the beach. It was only I knew it's like, oh, you know, it's like good. It's like having a cup of coffee in the morning. It wakes you up. But if I jerk off to completion in front of a logger, where does my day go from there? You know?
Downhill for sure.
Yeah, it's all downhill, and I got a long drive ahead of me. So
it seems like a beach would be there'd be more solace at the beach, whereas you were at a landmark that multiple people would be stopping at.
But that's a better place. That was a better place to drive. I drove through there about. You know, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then I slept 3 hours.
Yeah,
and there. So it was like, you know, I was like, there's nobody around. There's nobody that shows up there for quite a while, and nobody on the road. You know, I mean, I could literally jerk off in the middle of 101, and nobody would arrest me.
It's got to be
a guy in the gift shop monitoring the Paul Bunyan camera. Hey, come on, guy! Knock it off!
I know, but he's not there.
And starts doing it.
I know. If it's, believe me, you know, that would be a good place to go, you know, wake up and on mushrooms and then wait for, you know, let them start going. And then, I mean, maybe talk to them a day before to go, I want to pay now, and then I'm going to show up tomorrow. And so you don't have to exchange a lot of information, and you get in there early. Because I'll be tripping balls at 10 in the morning when you show up. Just put a donut out and let me in, okay? I know the way in and out, and I'll be somewhere in there, you know, and I'll leave.
You're like an outdoor cat.
Yeah, tell Paul to just ask me to leave, because there's speakers throughout it.
Paul Bunyan starts talking to you, and you think that's going to be cool?
How big was that stem anyway? One time I ate twice that amount. Yeah, whatever, dude.
You should see the mushrooms I chopped down.
I know. That ain't helping, Paul. Right now, I'm losing my mind. Let me ask you this, Paul. Is that cow blue? Jesus, man. What is going on here? Look at the balls on that thing. Don't you take care of your cow?
Maybe he's a breeder.
Yeah.
That's how you get big cows.
If you want to keep him tough, he's got to keep his balls.
Yeah.
You're using him as muscle. So.
My kid rode a steer in Fort. What's that fucking? Well, I almost said what's that shitty town in Texas? I corrected myself. We were in Fort Worth, down there in the stable area, and my daughter sat on a steer, and my wife at the time said,
"Just keep going, please."
My wife at the time said, "Go ahead, Delaney. You can sit on the cow." And he goes, "Ma'am, that ain't no cow. There's a steer. It did have big balls on it." And he said, I got a picture of my kid on the big steer, and I never forgot that. You know, you don't go cow, it's got big balls. But anyway, fuck Fort Worth.
After the whale incident, I'm surprised you took your daughter to be near any.
I actually had fun there.
Balls.
It was like fun to go.
Here's
remember
the
when
whale dick. Here's you with the steer balls.
Yeah.
Family
noticing
album.
a theme? I know one of my favorite pictures is my kid standing in front of a sign in Fort Worth, and I made her hold a fake cigarette, and she had a cowboy hat, and she's got the cigarette. She's doing it right. She kind of looks like Stanhope, and she's angrily smoking, taking a puff on the cigarette and pissed off
Marlboro
at the whole idea. Well, those fake cigarettes, you know.
It's a new American doll.
Yeah, the realistic one.
The 14-year-old.
She's working the truck stop.
I'm sure they're Well, no, that company changed hands, so they really lost their mission. But they should come out with the protest one.
Protest doll?
it's a white girl, but she's all hip and shit and worried about everybody. She's got a wristband that says woke. She doesn't identify as a female, but that's what most of her clothes say.
Oh, I love you, Andy Anderson. All right, let's go make a drink. What do you think?
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
I still got enough. Yeah.
No, good for you. I got to make a bloody.
It's right here. I'm going to probably take it down to right here.
Yeah. Laird's Applejack, everybody.
Go easy, Shaylee.
Laird's Applejacks. It's one of them.
Hey, don't forget to check out Chad's Twitch channel, which has now changed dates that they broadcast during the week, and I think that's smarter.
Well, it was your idea, so you would think it was smarter. I was complaining.
I was drunk. I was surprised you gave me credit because we were wasted.
I was complaining to Shaylee that I have to drink almost every goddamn day because I'm between this and streaming and this. And Shaylee says, "Why don't you just fucking change it?" And I go, "Oh, I guess I can't just change whatever days I play video games. It's not like I'm set in that." So, although I will tell you, this morning I did wake up with a newfound realization where I went, fuck, I have to drink all day.
Yeah, it might have been better to spread it out.
It seems like that's
a nap in between is good. A nap in between.
It seems like that's way better than having a Zoom intervention for Chad. That's the next step. It's like, hey, we all care about you. Oh, I think he's frozen up. Let's go with somebody else.
You can't ask me to do social things without me drinking, or else I just won't feel right, and I want to do it.
Yeah.
Well,
good for you. I'm sure you're gonna.
I'm sure you're gonna
live a better lifestyle now.
I feel like it.
Now everything will be peachy keen.
I feel like it. It's gonna
your big health move was jamming. Your big health move was jamming all of your drinking into 3 separate days.
Yes.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Sounds good to me.
We all have to start somewhere. We'll see what happens next.
Baby steps. All right, come back on Patreon if you're with us. If not, we'll see you next time.